Hello, this is Mr. Collier, and today we're going to solve some word problems that end up being quadratics. So in the first problem it says the sum of a number and its square is 30. Find the number. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is set up an equation so that we can solve it. So we need to find out what a variable is going to be in this word problem. So it says the sum of a number and its square is 30. So if we can call a number, we can just call it n. So this is the sum of a number and its square is going to be n squared. So sum of a number and its square is, now that usually corresponds to an equal sign in your equation. So that's equal to 30. The sum of a number and its square is equal to 30. Okay, now firstly, let's write these in order. So that's n squared plus n equals 30, and we want to get 0 on one side of the equation, so we're going to subtract 30 from both sides. We get n squared plus n minus 30 equals 0. Okay, so then to factor that, we can list the factors of negative 30. So that could be negative 1 times 30, or 1 times negative 30, or 5 times negative 6, or 6 times negative 5, and there's a few others, but I'm looking for a sum of 1. So actually this pair of numbers here give me a sum of 1. So this quadratic factors to n plus 6 times n minus 5 equals 0, and we can solve each independently using the null factor law. One of these two expressions in the brackets has to be equal to 0, so n plus 6 equals 0, in which case n equals negative 6. That's one solution. N minus 5 equals 0, in which case n equals 5. That's the other possible solution. So the number in this word problem is either negative 6 or 5. So there's two possible numbers in this case. Okay, you can check that if you want. So the original question says the sum of a number and its square is 30. So let's see if that works for both those answers. Okay, the sum of a number and its square. So if you do negative 6 plus negative 6 squared, you get negative 6 plus 36, which equals 30. So that's correct. And let's try that for 5. 5 plus 5 squared, that equals 5 plus 25, which equals 30. So both of these answers are possibilities. Okay, in the next word problem, this is a bit trickier. First, let's set up our variables. Find two consecutive numbers such that the square of the first plus 3 times the second is 43. So by two consecutive numbers, we mean like 5 and 6 or 12 and 13, two numbers in a row. So if we have two numbers, we can call the two consecutive numbers, well, if one of them, or the first one, is going to be x, then the second number is going to be x plus 1 because it's 1 bigger than the first number. So those are our two numbers. Now we can make an equation using the information. So it says the square of the first, that will be x squared, plus 3 times the second number, which is x plus 1, is equal to 43. Okay? So this may not look factorizable right now, but we can simplify and we'll be able to finish the problem. So we have x squared plus 3x plus 3, just distributing here, equals 43. And we want to get 0 on one side of the equation always when we're factoring quadratics. So we have x squared plus 3x minus 40 equals 0. Okay, so now we have a trinomial here. So if we look at the multiples of 40, So how do we get negative 40? We can do negative 1 times 40, 1 times negative 40. We can do 2 times negative 10, negative 20, or negative 2 times 20. But none of these are going to give us a sum of 3. We want two numbers that are very close to each other. In fact, two numbers that differ by 3. So we need to find another set of numbers, perhaps 5 times negative 8. Those are different by 3. But we don't want a negative 3 here, we want a positive 3, so it has to be negative 5 times positive 8. Those are our numbers that we're going to use in our factorized form. Okay, because they multiply to give you negative 40, they add to give you 3. So we have x minus 5 times x plus 8 equals 0. And if we solve this, we've got x minus 5 equals 0. So x equals 5. And we've got x plus 8 equals 0. Or x equals negative 8. Okay, now be careful though, that's not our answer really, because it's saying find two consecutive numbers with this property. So we've got two possibilities. The first number could be 5, or the first number could be negative 8. So our answers, or our answer is going to be the two consecutive numbers are, so the first one is 5, the second one's going to be 6. So 5 and 6, or then your second consecutive number is going to be one more than negative 8, which is negative 7. So these are our two answers right here.